Okay.
Can I ask you to please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's town board meeting. First item is public hearing. It is April 24th, 2018. I would ask our deputy town clerk to read the notice.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of Mount Pleasant will hold a public hearing at 8:00 p.m. on Tuesday, April 24th, 2018, at the Town Board Meeting Room, 1 Town Hall Plaza, Valhalla, New York, to extend the Town of Mount Pleasant Consolidated Sewer District Number 1, to include the parcel of land owned by petitioner Peter Stallone, 35 Palmer Lane, Thornwood, New York, and designated on the tax map as Section 107.17, Block 1, Lot 10, with the extended district to be known as the Valhalla Sewer District and Town of Mount Pleasant Consolidated Sewer District Extension Number 1. This action is subject to a permissive referendum. Patricia June Scova, Town Clerk, Town of Mount Pleasant.
Thank you. This situation came up because the septic system at this particular property has failed. The property is also in a watershed area, so it's very important to correct the situation. The sewer was accessible through a low-pressure system, so anyone who wishes to speak on this issue is welcome to do so. Because everybody wants them to have their sewer connection.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Motion by Mr. Rubio to close the hearing,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I'll move to annex 35 Palmer Lane, Valhalla, New York, into the Valhalla Sewer District.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
second by Ms. Smalley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is regarding parking. I'll ask the Deputy Town Clerk to read that motion.
Please take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Mount Pleasant will hold a public hearing at 8:00 p.m. on Tuesday, April 24, 2018, at the Town Board Meeting Room, 1 Town Hall Plaza, Valhalla, New York, to consider amending Town Code Section 206-49, Schedule 15, to consider parking prohibited certain hours on Brighton Avenue, Hawthorne, New York. The street is Brighton Avenue. The side is east-west. Hours and days are 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., school days only. The location is the corner of Broad Street, south for 150 feet to the school driveway. Patricia June Scova, Town Clerk, Town of Mount Pleasant.
Thank you. And anyone wishing to speak on this is welcome to do so at this time. I guess the problem here is people parking there when the school buses are trying to get to the school, and it creates an issue there. Being no further speakers, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
second by Ms. Smalley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Resolution 238 will approve the prohibited parking.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
second by Ms. Smalley. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the supervisor's report, a long-awaited PBA contract. We've been working on this for over a year. We finally came to an agreement with the PBA and the town. Just some minor details. This contract goes back to January 2016. There is 2 years of retroactive. January 1st, 2016 will be a 2.5% increase. January 1st, 2017, a 2% increase. January 18th, January 1st, 2018, 3%, 19, 2.5, and 20, 2.5. So it's a 5-year contract. As far as longevity, there were some changes in the longevity schedule. And the welfare fund, there was an addition of $125 for 18, 19, and 20. We added roll call as requested by the chief of police to start roll call, which is a great thing. Before the officers go out on the road, they have a brief meeting, which gives them some up-to-dates on what's happening. We also have a drug and alcohol testing policy, which we never had before. And lastly, on continuing education, the employee has to notify the chief in writing by September 1st, the prior calendar year. That way it can be properly budgeted in the upcoming budget. So I have all the details of the contract, which will be available if it's approved. And that's it for that. Any comments from the board?
No, I read it over carefully. I thought it was fair, equitable, and I'm very glad to see that the roll call has been reinstated. And I hope that we are able to move forward with the contract, that the membership agrees. Thank you.
Is that a move for approval?
That would be a motion to approve the PBA contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. While we're on police, we have a settlement that goes back here in regards to a former employee of the police department. There was a question as to when the retirement system said his retirement started and when the town started his retirement. So this is settling a improper practice charge. The settlement will, here's the minor details without getting it too deep. The officer he'll be paid for 9 work days of pay at his base salary in effect 2014, less taxes and withholding. And the New York State retirement system will reinstate his date of retirement to correct dates. Check will be issued to the officer for work days of pay at his base salary of 2014, less taxes and withholding. He was entitled to vacation pay, according to the settlement. The details of this settlement are available if approved.
I'll make a motion for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item in regard to the charging a fee for our water meter reading fee. As you know, we're just finishing up the installation of new water meters throughout the town. The idea was that everyone has these new meters and it will not require our employees to read meters 4 times a year. It was a considerable savings in time and vehicles 4 times a year. So there are individuals who do not want the new meters. They want the old meters. So in order to offset the additional cost to the town, there'll be a fee for reading those meters. There'll be a quarterly service charge of $150 for residential customers and $300 for commercial businesses. At any time that people change their mind and they want to go to the new meters, they're welcome to do so. So this resolution will approve the service charges of $150 for residential and $300 for commercial.
I'd like to make a motion for approval, please.
Motion by Mr. Saliano,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval to hire Tyler O'Neill as a seasonal employee effective April 25th, 2018, and Anthony Guarnieri as a seasonal employee effective May 21st, 2018, both with the Traffic and Safety Department and both at the rate of $11 an hour.
Move for approval.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
second by Mr. Saliano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is a request to hire Vanessa Del Duca and Kane Lyons as unpaid interns in the engineering department to work a total of 30 hours.
Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Supervisor, just because it's a nice thing, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. DiPaolo, because you would know.
Yeah.
This is done through Westlake High School Senior Internship Program.
Yes.
Wonderful. Glad to see we're participating.
And I know Mr. DiPaolo is instrumental in making these things happen, and we appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Next item, request from our Controller, Maria Langivar, the approval of a new consulting agreement with CPI-HR the $10,000 fee, which has remained the same as last year's. This is a company that works with us on the Affordable Care Act. It's very extensive and involved program to make sure all the details are proper. So this resolution will approve hiring them again at the $10,000 fee.
Motion for approval, please.
Motion by Mr. Saliano,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Next item has to do with a resolution to approve a refund for overpayments made by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund for water usage from the Pecanico Water District. I'll read the resolution. Whereas the Rockefeller Brothers Fund hereinafter the fund receives water services from the Pecanico Water District. And whereas in the first and second quarters of 2017, there were overpayments made by the fund. Whereas the total amount of overpayments for the first quarter, $8,503.85, and second quarter, $20,995.91, total $29,459.76. And whereas the town staff has reviewed and confirmed the amount of the overpayments made, now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Mount Pleasant hereby authorizes the return of those funds which were overpaid to the Pecanico Water District for water services totaling $29,459.76, with said funds to be repaid by the Pecanico Water District. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take an effect date of, I think the date would be as of tomorrow. I have the wrong date on here, so it would be April 25th, if approved.
Correct.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
second by Mr. Saliano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At our, I think it was our last meeting, we had approved the planning board had given us a recommendation to approve a resolution for Zapico to build it's like a collector car storage facility on Commerce, between Commerce Street and the Taconic Parkway. What we need to do is approve the special permit use for Zapico at 15 Commerce Street, Hawthorne, for the use of a classic car storage in a residential zone. So this resolution will approve the special permit for Zapico to move forward. Then we'll be going to the planning board for approval, for site plan approval.
So just to refresh my memory, so we had the planning board's recommended, positive recommendation, correct?
Right.
And then are we, Chris, what are we doing? Does the statute already provide for a special use permit, or do we have to amend the zone to provide?
My recollection is that you guys are just issuing a special permit.
That particular
The
site.
change has already been made at
Okay.
the previous meeting.
Okay, all right.
I think it was last meeting.
We had a public hearing.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
I thought
thank
we
you.
had a public hearing, we closed the public hearing, and I think it was approved, is my recollection.
Right.
Great, thank you.
At the last open meeting, it was approved.
Yes.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
okay, all right.
yes, it was. So now
You
we're
know,
going to vote to grant that special use permit.
Right, I mean, and obviously it's subject to planning board approval for
Yeah, site plan.
traffic, lack thereof, and, all of those things. But, I have to commend the Zapico for, coming to us with an alternative design after other ones and trying to be creative and to try and find something that minimizes impact and was an overall fit. So I'll make the motion to grant the special use permit.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
I'd like to second that. In fact, I do think that we see two members of the Zapico firm or family here at that time. Again, we asked that developers thinking outside of the box and move forward with the town of Mount Pleasant as we develop and review and develop our master plan. So this is something that we really embrace because it is different and it brings a new use to that plot of land. Thank you.
yeah, just so you're aware that the property was a former Taconic Brauhaus and Mexicali restaurant.
Mhm.
Since the Brauhaus, nothing has really succeeded in that particular spot. So again, like everyone has said, we we do applaud your creativeness on this issue. I don't know if there was something that you wish to present, just to get the public aware, make them aware of what your proposal is. It's up to you.
You don't have to, I mean.
If you want us to, we can, throw the stuff, otherwise,
If maybe you just want to show what the conceptual design may be. I know you have to go before planning board. Did we do all in favor?
I don't
Not
think
yet.
we did. So I
We have a
move-
motion and a second.
We had
Right.
a motion and a second.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I know you're proud of this, so.
yeah. Did present to you or the camera?
I think the public, we've seen the.
Appreciate it.
So, we've gone through a bunch of iterations. This is car storage for classic and exotic cars. We thought it would be a great fit for the site as the other uses have previously failed. So what we have proposed is a 3-story, 2 above grade, 1 below grade, enclosed car facility with the members lounge. And we think it'll be a great fit. It's about 55,000 square feet between the 3 stories with 3 different entrances, 1 at each level. And looking forward to taking it through the rest of the process.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any board members have any questions?
No?
We did talk about this extensively.
You spoke about it, but can you, because you're on camera, explain to the public, how would someone use your facility?
Sure. So we've recognized the demand for long-term and short-term storage of classic cars or other performance cars for people that may not have the garage space or people that may not want to pay a premium for city parking. This is right near the train station, and we thought it would be a good fit for the area as well as Mount Pleasant. So we're going to offer individual parking on a rental basis, month to month or annual terms, and I think it'll be kind of like a country club for the automotive, like car people.
We did feel it was a fairly low impact because it's not something where you have people driving in and out all day long.
Right, exactly. It'll be very low impact. We won't have any traffic problems because they'll be leaving there 100 miles an hour.
That was talked about it being a drag strip there, everybody leaving, but we'll be watching that.
Right.
And you've researched the need for something like this. This isn't
Yes.
just a pipe drain that would throw the building up and see how it goes, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we wouldn't be investing the time if we didn't do our due diligence.
How many spots?
About 142 between the 3 levels.
That's good. I had a question with respect to fire safety, please. Is there a sprinkler system?
It will be sprinkled.
Okay.
Not sure if it'll be water or foam based, but it will be sprinkled, and all of the structure will be fire rated.
Are you going to have security on staff?
We will have security on staff. Not sure if that will be a private gatehouse at this point or inside of the actual reception, but there will be cameras as well in each space.
Excellent, thank you.
Now, I think I read something that, in regard to the existing building, that what is the use of that building at this time before you begin your demolition and construction?
So this site is in residential zone. The existing building is non-conforming use. It's a restaurant. So previously, it was known as Mexicali, and before that,
Right.
Brauhaus. So what we were asking for is the special use permit to not, because residential won't really fit there, surrounded by cemeteries. So we think this would be a better fit, and also not a restaurant use because those have typically shown to not be successful there.
The last time you were here, I asked a question with respect to the neighbors about screening, and is that issue resolved?
Yes. So this is the first draft of our screening plan, and just hundreds of trees, shrubs going up.
Okay,
So it'll be very extensive.
thank you.
One more question. Is it true that some of the local volunteer firefighters have been able to practice some of their drills?
Yes, we had allowed the building inspector to conduct drills with the fire department, tearing down walls and doing other tests that they normally would have a hard time doing in a real world situation.
And I think that was an excellent initiative. Thank you.
Thanks. Anybody else?
Nope.
Good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for
Okay,
taking
great.
the
Thank you.
time. Thank you for coming. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
At this time, we'll move on to business from the floor. Anyone wishing to address the board is welcome to do so.
See, stirring. Would you like to?
Investment report.
Yeah, come
Investment
on.
report.
Come on.
Investment report.
You're gonna seed the floor? You're gonna seed the floor?
Ken Noonan, Valhalla. I have some questions about the open seat on the town board. Can you tell me what the requirements are for that position for a councilman on the town board?
There's no written requirements that somebody wants to be dedicated to making the town a better place to live. I think that's a good requirement.
The only technical requirement is residency here in town.
Yeah.
Residency? How about age? Is that a requirement?
Always you're capable of getting in the building.
And-
No minors.
Well, meaning no one under what age?
18. I
18?
think it's 18.
I think it's 18.
You're 21 for
Voting age.
elective office.
Voting age. Yeah, for voting
Yeah,
age.
yeah.
For voting age.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, does the resident have to be a taxpayer? Or could they just be a resident of the town?
I don't think they have to be a taxpayer, just a resident.
They have to be a resident. If you reside here
Yeah,
in the town,
exactly.
you're a resident, and it doesn't matter your tax status. You have to be a voting age.
Just as long as
You have to be a
you're,
resident
You would
in
have to
town.
be an
Well-
established resident. You can't
Be transient.
rent an apartment for the purpose of being on the council. We'd have to be.
Whatever,
Well-
whatever the town law requires as far as establishing a legal residency is, I believe, what is a requirement that would be imposed. I don't think that, I mean, I would just defer to the town law in that instance.
but what is that? How long do you have to be a resident before you can?
Whatever,
You have to look in the town law.
Call the Board of Elections. I'm sure they can explain those.
But you're recruiting a member of the board. Shouldn't you let that information be known?
It's not an issue. You're bringing it up. It's not an issue.
But it is an issue if somebody is. if
Anyone's welcome to submit a resume.
We're not recruiting.
Well,
There's an opening. We're
it-
accepting
it-
resumes.
But why should somebody submit the resume if they're not eligible to become?
Well,
they can
well-
pick up the phone and call the Board of Elections and find out.
Yeah,
They
we
can
can make
figure
that
out.
determination too. I mean,
But why shouldn't you make that part of the scope of
We have
this
never-
position?
In all the years that I've been involved, that question has never come up. I'm not saying it's a bad question, but I've never heard that before. And
Mhm.
most people that know if they're going to want to be on the town board, they pretty much know what's involved. They know what their duties would be as a councilman.
You really
They-
think so? Huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, from my experience, I'm
Yeah.
telling you that.
Huh? How about the political affiliation?
There's no requirements.
In the interview process, was the candidate asked about their political affiliation?
I've never heard of any interviews I ever had or any interviews we've had with newer members of the board. I've never been asked that
Mhm.
question.
And the skill set, anything in particular that?
Resident,
Just resident.
resident.
And the term, how long is the term?
4 years.
4 years. The salary?
For
In
the
the
budget.
budget?
It's in the budget.
In the budget. I've never had anybody even ask me the salary either. In fact, there's
What does
members,
somebody have to do? Go into look in the budget to find out?
Quite honestly, Mr. Noonan, if someone's asking for the salary, they're probably not right for the job because it's not meant for that.
Quite honestly, I never even knew we got
But
paid.
well,
for
it's just,
that.
It's in the budget.
it
You have the
makes
budget?
sense.
You have the budget?
I have the budget, but why should I have to go look through the budget to find out the salary?
Well, you're
Why
concerned
couldn't
about it.
you, why couldn't you say the salary for this position is?
Well, you're concerned about it, right?
I am, yes.
Look it up. Nobody else has asked that question yet. People that have sent in resumes, that wasn't a question that was asked yet. In fact, I can remember at least 3 board members that are here, the salary issue never was brought up. Nobody
that
ever asked the question.
I wasn't even aware there was pay.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Is that right?
I figured it was volunteer.
And vacation, is there any
It's a
vacation?
part-time job.
Part-time job.
Well, I know it's a
No
part-time
vacation.
job, but, suppose somebody wants to go away for
Go
2 or
on.
3 weeks. It's okay if they miss,
Sure they can.
they can do that.
Oh,
Health benefits? I think.
They can apply for health benefits. They would pay 25%,
Mhm.
just like everybody else.
Okay. Pension?
They could sign up for the retirement system.
Okay. Now, just so I get an idea of the commitment, how many hours per week?
You know, Mr.
It
Noonan,
varies.
when I did the math, and I really realized, when I did it and I realized how much commitment you put in, because there's a lot of studying that you have to do and a lot of paperwork that goes through your hands, and in the evenings at home you might want to study, it did come down to about $1.38 an hour.
Mhm.
So it really is, not to toot my own horn, but you really have to be dedicated to this. It's often 7 days a week. You're asked to do things and go to places, represent the town at meetings, not only here within town on different liaison committees, but within county also, okay? To represent yourself, to represent the town board, to study on different areas that you're not familiar with, engineering, water, police, contracts. So there's a lot more that goes into it than you see here at the public meetings or that you see in the work sessions. We go to seminars. We're educated on all different levels. So if someone is truly, truly interested, submit a resume, come forward, sit for the interview, and then speak with us individually so you really understand the commitment. It's not something to be taken lightly. We can giggle and say, myself, I did not realize how much went into it. Am I committed to it? Yes. And when you ask about vacation, it's interesting because most of us that sit here will try and plan our vacation on those months when we have a 5-Tuesday calendar, which means the 5th Tuesday of the month we don't meet for a public meeting or a work session. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the end of August, the end of July, because we're committed. This board is very committed to being here all the time. Some might say that I lecture, so I'm going to stop now, but that is my
But
opinion.
thank you. I think those are important
difficult
things to share
the
with
work
with the public or anybody interested in becoming a councilman. I think those are important things to share up front. I mean, somebody might say, well, that sounds like it's too much for me. I won't even bother sending in a resume.
Well, it is tough work. It's not just what you see here and every Tuesday night. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, if somebody is interested and wants to send in a resume, where should they send the resume?
Be good to come here.
To your attention?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a deadline for sending in the resume?
We're going to hopefully start next Tuesday with the interviews. We're working on that.
It sounded like you already had an interview, you said.
What?
Didn't you say something before, like you already had an interview? Oh, no. So you're going to start the interview process next Tuesday, you say?
That's what our hope is, yeah. We will notify those who had sent in resumes and see if it's convenient time for them. If we can work it out for next Tuesday, we'd like to do that.
And can you tell me who conducts the interviews?
The town board,
The entire board?
if they're available, yeah.
And now, this is kind of an important position in the town, and it's an elected position.
Right.
What about,
They have to run for office also.
Yeah. but do you think that we should
They
have,
they don't have to, but they can.
do you think that there should be some representation from the public in the interview process?
No.
No.
No, that's what voting's for.
And finally, I saw that you had a notice on the website it was a little tough to find. It was a town board seat vacancy is the way it was headlined. And,
It was an email blast too. wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
It's
and
also
the-
been in the Examiner.
and the information there was, really wasn't much information there as far as, have you published this position anyplace else besides
No. We announced it publicly. It was in the Examiner. It's been on the website. I don't know what more we need to do.
Yeah,
You want a
that's,
direct mailing? Can we do that?
well, this is an important position. It's a town
I know.
board member, I think if you're relying on the website and are you putting an ad, did you put an ad in the Examiner?
No.
No,
Help one.
that would, we'd have to use taxpayer money to pay for that.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be the appropriate use of taxpayer money.
I think we have lots of access nowadays for free. The email blast system, the website. I couldn't see what advantage paying for an ad in the Examiner would do.
Well, you're a great proponent of Facebook, but I didn't see anything on Facebook about
It's
it.
just that's not what we use it for.
Not what you use.
I don't understand what the difference is with the website and email blast. Why?
Well, I just think, it's an important position. It's an elected position. I think that
And
you're fishing in a very small pool for
I
candidates.
don't believe we are. We've sent it out
Just
to
time off.
everyone in town that subscribes,
Thanks.
and we've posted it on the website, and we've gotten resumes. I think you're trying to make something out of nothing here.
Well, if you have 44,000 people in the town and you're only relying on whoever goes to your website or happens to read the Examiner.
So you think we should mail it?
It's a very small pool.
We should send a mailing home to each resident?
I-
You do?
I think it's important enough
Okay,
for that. yeah.
duly noted.
Thank you. Thank you for
Appreciate your
time.
opinion.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the board?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jordana Silverstein. I live on Old Farm Road South in Pleasantville, and I'm here because there's an issue that's very near and dear to my heart, as well as probably several thousand families in our district, which is the airport noise issue. And there's several of us here who have been going to airport meetings and meeting with County Executive George Latimer to find out what, if anything, we as citizens can do to protect the quality of our lives. It's not an issue for everyone in the entire Mount Pleasant, but it's a very, very significant issue for us. And we recently discovered that the Airport Advisory Board has been formed and requires that one citizen from North Castle, Rye, Harrison, Mount Pleasant, and Newcastle be represented on this board. And my question to you is, how do we go about getting one of the affected citizens on that board?
I can answer that because I'm the appointee from Mount Pleasant on the board. So I was appointed by County Executive Rob Estorino about 6 years ago. Basically, it's a function of if you're interested in getting on the board. I mean, the county executive makes the appointment, so you would go through the county executive's office and apply for it.
This is a little bit different, I think, that they're looking for more of a community-based.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yes,
And-
it's a
and just-
community-based because we're the
Okay.
ones that are the most severely impacted by the noise. And so I know there's several of us who are itching to get on the board.
I actually received a call, and I'm sorry, I forgot the woman's name. She requested,
Tracy Lee.
okay. I forwarded your name to the county executive's office for consideration, so.
So that,
Actually, Margaret Cunzio, I sent it to her and she was gonna forward it to make sure that your name is in consideration. Okay, I'm directly in the flight path also.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
grew
to
up
the
in it
point,
too.
to the point where we've all had to have contractors come to our home. We've had cracked windows. We're having
Really?
Yes, it's that
Wow.
bad.
Can I ask you a quick question? And thank you for coming, by the way. So don't hesitate to come to meetings, please.
And thank you for having us.
Oh, don't be silly.
I'm new
That's why we're
to
here.
the whole town board process, and my hat's off to all of you. It's not an easy job.
How did you know we had a meeting tonight? The website?
Well, funny you should ask. I was one
So
of
you saw it on
the
the
people who
website.
received the
Thank
email
you.
blast, and my friend Tracy Levy brought it to my attention as well, but I received the email.
So to give you an idea, I mean, it's, you know, the noise complaints with respect to the airport. And that's what we're talking about, right?
Mhm.
So, and most of my time on the board, it's been pretty dormant. And they seem to have ramped up over the past 8 months, a year. Is that, I mean, and because we get reports of noise complaints, and it's been, for years, it was quiet in Pleasantville. All of a sudden, they're getting literally thousands of noise complaints from Pleasantville. So
There's still the
But last couple of years.
last couple
And-
years,
Yes, and as we have been told that there has really been no change in the volume of flights that fly over our neighborhood, but what we have noticed is a massive change in the type of aircraft
interesting,
and the altitude.
and
interesting.
the hours in which they
So-
fly.
And
Interesting.
the non-respecting the voluntary restriction from flying.
Yeah.
Hasn't
Thus the word voluntary, unfortunately, but yeah.
Correct. Commercial traffic cannot necessarily expand because there are restrictions put on.
Exactly. There's a terminal usage agreement, right?
Commercial and private
Private.
has ramped up probably by about 10%. When I looked at the last report, was December last year. The light general aviation was up about 10%
Mhm.
month over month. The number of complaints is now hovering around 1,800 a month.
Yeah.
So what
And
the
that,
advisory board has been saying is, oh, it's a couple of households complaining, a couple of grandmas who are not working, who are just sitting by the phone and calling in. Well, that is not true.
and just to interject to your point, I think last year, because I was looking at some, we get reports from the airport, which I'd be happy to share with you, by the way. And
We
you
get
can,
them as well.
Okay,
We do
good.
as well.
And so-
The airport monitor.
that's exactly right. So if you look at, I think it's February's, I think they said there were like 40 complaints a year ago in February, and this year there were over 1,800 or something like that, to your point. So
Right. But a lot of people were not necessarily aware
Right.
of the fact that they could complain.
It's a lot of
where they could
complaints not to be aware of,
complain,
but-
and how to actually complain.
Mhm.
So they might have complained sitting on their deck, when you're basically getting the landing gear, ruffling your hair. And that's.
But there's
where we
not
are.
an
I mean,
exaggeration. It's not a,
I think you are somewhere in our general vicinity,
Yes.
somewhere on Berry Road. So we are on the top of the Berry Road. So when you look at the altitude of the traffic, and JetBlue is the biggest offender. I love JetBlue, but I absolutely despise them flying over my
it's
house.
going to be a change in the flight
They
path.
go 1,400, so my last complaint as of today, 7:06 was the last flight that I complained about today. 1,400 feet over my house.
Evening or
Wow.
morning?
Just, yeah. 1,400 feet, well now, this is the altitude and the sea level, right? So we are what, about 600, 700 feet up?
It's true.
I can literally read the numbers on that plane. This was not happening 2 years ago. This certainly wasn't happening 11 years ago when I bought my property.
none of us would have bought our houses where we live now.
You know,
had we known
Something
about
has
this.
changed in the last 2 years, and when we are told, and even Mr. Latimer acknowledged that, and Mr. Kaplowitz acknowledged that, they have said, okay, something has changed because clearly people that have lived here for 20-something years were aware that they're buying next to the airport.
Right.
But this changed last 2 years. Now, there is a new facility that was just built at the airport, 70,000 square feet, new hangar
It's a
for
hangar.
Millennium Air.
No.
There is an effort to re-sign NetJet fleets to Textron, who's saying, oh, the actual traffic is gonna go down. Well, because that's how you do business, so you're gonna get a lease, pay money for it, and then decrease the traffic? Because it's a good business, you know, you give good Samaritans to us. That's not how it works. So we're not gonna be naive and believe in those kind of stories. But now we're in this situation where how do you put Gene back alive? We can maybe stop some things that they have in plans for the expansion of the airport, for the privatization, have you, but the last 2 years have already been hell. And I don't see how we're gonna go about fixing this. Now, it doesn't really impact, I spoke to Escuzio about this as well, and she said, well, I'm in a flight path too. Well, unless you're in a direct flight path, you have no idea what you're talking about. Because if your plane is just going, you know, a mile from your house, you don't have the impact of straight through.
Yeah.
It's pretty much
That's
the
what we
whole
have.
farm water district, it's all utility kids.
To give you an idea, I mean, I grew up in the direct flight path. Depending on who you ask, it hasn't affected me. You know, I understand, and so something had to have changed because that neighborhood was not generating those kind of complaints as recently as 9 months ago, and so you know, and the difficulty with you know, being on the airport advisory board, because the very name tells you exactly what power we have, zero, because we're an advisory board. And the FAA dictates the flight paths and all of those things. So it's a very, very difficult nut to crack. What I would recommend, are you going to the meeting tomorrow night, the airport advisory board meeting tomorrow night? I highly recommend going. Nice group of people.
We do. And
Good.
I will tell you what happened to me at the airport advisory board. Are you familiar with Mr. Conrad?
Rich Conrad, yeah. I sit on the board with him.
So when we told him this story, Mr. Conrad said, so move, you fat pig.
Oh, excuse me,
No,
that's,
I can't
I
imagine he
reported
said
him
that.
I reported him to Ms. Kunzia, who said, what did you say to him? So that's victim blaming right there. And I reported him to Ms. Shinsky as well.
I'd be
So-
respectfully. I mean, if that's the case, I'm sorry to hear. I know Rich personally. and
He has
I
never
was
showed up
surprised.
afterwards.
So
He showed up maybe in November.
knowing him the way I do,
He has not
it
shown
surprises me. But I'm sorry.
No, you know what? You're probably familiar with the name Jonathan Wang, who was
Yes.
there, and he said, I am not surprised at all
Hmm.
about that behavior. So I've requested a public apology and his explanation, which hasn't happened. He's
Understood.
not an elected official, he's an appointed official, but that kind of behavior is absolutely unacceptable.
No question. If it happened, it's
that's-
unacceptable.
That's,
So
that's.
anyway, I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I just want to let you know I was familiar with it.
I
So
wanted to create a conversation because we're all affected and we all have young children. We all have pets that are affected by it. We all hope someday when we sell our homes that the property value won't be diminished by more.
Sure.
Because given our homes and other neighborhoods, why would someone voluntarily move into LaGuardia North? And given what it's coming down to, and if we don't say something, who will? So,
You know, you're the first people that brought this. When you said Old Farm Road South, I thought it was going to be something about the water. I'm actually glad to hear that this is an issue. And
and we're frustrated that more people aren't out in volume, but it's also, most of these meetings are in the evening, and most of the families
Yeah,
that
it's
live in
hard.
the district have very small children, and it's hard to get babysitters, and well, maybe both family members work, but
you know,
we are not alone. It's not just the three of us. I mean, if you go to some of these meetings, and there are dozens and dozens of people.
are you know, because noise affects people differently, but kind of an objective piece of evidence to show how loud the noise is the fact that you say your window's cracked. I mean, that to me shows something,
Mhm.
right?
I had to get a handyman to put nails in the windows to keep them from shaking. I have cracks in my paintings on my walls.
Have you shown that to anybody at the airport?
No, but I should.
I would recommend it because again, you know, saying, oh, this is loud, I'm not minimizing it, but noise affects people different ways, and what's loud to you may not be loud to the next person.
I'm a city girl,
but-
so.
But my point is that when your windows are cracking, that takes away all doubt, right? it's not about who's more sensitive to noise than the next person. It's about, my gosh, my windows are cracking. That's objective evidence that there's something going on. It's like a broken bone on an X-ray. That's objective evidence that there's an injury. Same idea.
You can't have a conversation playing passes overhead. You have to stop,
Wow.
pause, wait for it to go, and you sit there counting. And then it's passed, and then literally 2 minutes later, there's another one.
Wow. But
And
go.
this was never when we moved in 8 years ago. It was never like that.
So when you're looking at the neighborhoods, it's Old Farm Road, Carl said it's Deer,
Eddie, Deerfield,
Laurel Lane,
Maple,
The estates.
the Estates,
Heritage.
Rescue, and we're not the only town. I mean, if you go into
Right,
Chappaqua,
Yeah, just
you
kinda-
continue into Armonk, but
Oh.
where the,
You're the Mount Pleasant, and we represent Mount Pleasant, so, yeah.
I looked at the map, where
The usage of runway
runway
16.
16, we're the second most
Basically, we are direct path from runway 16.
Runway
and
16.
Runway 16
is the second most used runway at Westchester
second
County.
towards runway.
Okay. Well, thanks
I didn't know
thanks
that.
for coming and
Thank you so much for
and mentioning.
enlightening us.
We appreciate it. I'm glad to hear you're participating. I'm sorry about what happened, but I'm glad to hear you're participating.
There's going to be a resolution to this because I'm not letting it go.
Ms. Silverstein, did you get clarity on your question originally on how to become a part of that committee?
Go to the county executive, the Westchester.gov website. Well, there's a process to it. So what we are looking to do is the same thing that town of Newcastle did, and they have requested that residents submit their application for this position and show their commitment to this issue, in the last months, and that's why Robert Fletcher was actually involved in our Citizens for the Principal County Airport and a few other groups that we have formed. It's basically called grassroots movement. He was selected from that group of people that wanted the responsibility. I think, yes, in Chappaqua. So we were wondering if there's a process that we need to kind of implement, because.
Right. Chappaqua appointed Robert Fleischer as the member of the board, advisory board, and then they've also formed an airport advisory committee within.
So they had a town airport advisory
So
committee.
that's really
So-
what stemmed
so
my
I'm trying to understand.
call to you, Mr. Fulgenzi, just to find out how do we go about this? We're all willing to be part of that, part of the solution, and part of the discussion.
I think if it would be helpful, I don't have a problem with discussing the possibility of creating a committee in the town of Mount Pleasant to address these issues so that you have more of a voice.
Thank you, that's really what we're at.
Yes.
Chappaqua is very strong.
And we're sort of in no man's land within town of Mount Pleasant because we don't have a town center, right? So we're part of Pleasantville, but
We're part of the school district and.
Right.
We're kind of
okay.
in a pocket where
there are hundreds.
we don't know where we belong.
There are hundreds of homes, and I think it's really seen as the Oak Farm Water District. And so it's all of these area, all of Oak Farm, all of these states, heritage, and we're all under that cap.
It'll probably be wise to get someone from Usonia, from the estates, from Heritage, those areas there, and get a little committee together so you have a voice.
Anybody to come to our house at any point, we'll send you over to chair.
We just have to stop talking every 2 minutes.
Well, literally, the flights go over every 2 minutes, and around John, down, out, to Dartmouth. Other ones, it's every 2 minutes.
I noticed a lot more private.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's what I said.
And it's the
to
Gulf
say.
Stream
Yeah.
that over here.
We have found that in attending the airport meetings, that 82% of the flights that go over our heads are all private.
And it's funny because a lot of people think that's largely a commercial airport, but it's really mostly private. I think commercial flights make up maybe a third of what goes in and out of there at most.
Right.
It's mostly private, so it makes sense that it would be mostly private going over your house.
And what happened was, board legislators, I think, wasn't that keyed into what they were approving years past, and something was passed where they could increase the weight of the aircraft. So that's making it a lot louder. When the little one goes by, it's pleasant, it's almost like Americana when a little prop plane goes over. But, so they revised what's allowed there are 3 initiatives that are on the table that are going to be reviewed, and Mr. Latimer agreed that the committees and the new board would have the opportunity to voice their opinion on these 3 new changes before anything takes place.
Well, if you want to come back to the town board with a list of names that you want to suggest, and we can create a committee, we'll approve the establishment of the committee, and then we will forward that to the county that you are, that the town board has approved having you represent the town. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, we've even met with Ms. Lowy about this. She put us in contact with the liaison at the FAA because a lot of this really is out of the hands of the county. Definitely out of Mount Pleasant's jurisdiction. They can't go into the public life and dictate which runway is to be used.
It may have changed, but I remember that Westchester County Airport was one of the only airports in the country that allowed the county to impose restrictions on it, and the FAA allowed it.
There was a lawsuit and
On the commercial traffic, and it was grandfathered because it was approved prior to 1980. Yes. But there are no restrictions that we can implement. That's why there's voluntary restriction from flying, certain hours.
Exactly.
Completely disrespected. But under Spano, actually, Spano used to call even the Nets, that's the rubber, the Nets.
Yes.
Yeah.
When they were flying in at 2 o'clock in the morning and asked them to kindly respect the voluntary restriction. Maybe that would be helpful if Mr. Latimer starts calling some of the private vendors. This is NetJets mostly, so let's call Mr. Buffett and let's tell him what we think about his business. But the biggest offender in terms of noise has been JetBlue. That, I think the majority of the complaint, low and loud, it's JetBlue.
This is a quality.
I was gonna say,
Most people, plain and simple, just want people to have peace and quiet in my house. I understand that plans have to get in that neighborhood, but it's an undue burden, and we all have small children. I don't fight for my son. Peaceful upbringing, so shame on me.
and we appreciate you coming. Again, it's the first time we've heard this from our audience, and thank you. I hope we can help you, and the supervisor, I'm sure, is going to stand by his word and come to us with names and form a committee, and we'll be right behind you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the board is welcome to do so. We'll move on to the town clerk's report.
Town clerk's agenda, April 24, 2018, town board meeting. Public hearing. Extend Valhalla and Town of Mount Pleasant Sewer District, Section 107.17, Block 1, Lot 10, and amend Town Code, Section 206-49, Schedule 15, parking prohibited certain hours. Received Conservation Advisory Council 2017 report. Received oath of office Thornwood Fire District Chief and Assistant Chief. Received Zoning Board Agenda May 10, 2018. Received Planning Board Agenda May 3, 2018. Received Civil Action John Carmenucci Tin Can Holdings versus Sal Pinelli, Bo DeSimone, and Town of Mount Pleasant. Received 2 notices of claim, Elizabeth and Thomas Stratton versus Town of Mount Pleasant, Mario Ruggiero versus Town of Mount Pleasant.
Items E and F would be referred to our town attorney. Move on to council reports. Councilman Saliano.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My report is from the Controller's Office. The following claims are submitted for town board approval. From the Attorney's Office, Bond, Shonik and King, PLLC. This is March Legal Counsel Services, $680.50. From Central Copier, WB Mason Incorporated, $1,061.50. From off-street parking, New York State Department of Transportation, $1,400. From information services, J&L Reporting Services, $620.40. Cemetery maintenance, SGD Landscaping Incorporated. That was for $2,560. Home community services, zone fees, $50. License and permits, base fees, $750. Adult programs, service tours, the Billy Joel concert, $1,650. American Heritage Gojo Karate, $918. That's for adult karate. Youth programs, American Heritage Gojo Karate, $2,239.75. From general repairs, Peckham Industries, this is for 18.39 tons of blacktop, $1,513.76. Moving forward to highway machinery, Tire Warehouse Incorporated. This is for tires for HD trucks. It was $3,459.40. From the highway garage roof repair, Charles A. Magnanaro, highway garage roof feasibility study, $5,580. From Mount Pleasant Consolidated Sewer District, All Makes Pump and Motor Repair Incorporated, overhaul sewage ejector and reassembler a solenoid valve, was $6,970 and $580. The total was $7,550. Lastly, from the Kensico Water, Peter J. Landy Incorporated. This was an emergency water repair, $6,834. And from Network Adjusters, this was a claim for the water main break. It was for $5,000. For that category, the total was $11,834, and our grand total was $41,867.31. And it's signed Maria Langlois. She's our controller. I respectfully ask the board for a motion of approval, please.
Motion by Mr. Saliano,
Second.
second by Mr. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Councilman Rubio.
Mr. Supervisor, I have no report this evening. I did want to let the public know, though, that this past Friday evening, our police chief, Paul Leva, was elected to be the president of the Westchester County Chiefs of Police Association. It just gives you an idea of the respect that Chief Oliva has, not only with his own men here, but throughout the police agencies throughout Westchester County. So congratulations to Chief Oliva. We're very proud of you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Smalley.
I have 6 items tonight from the Superintendent of Parks and Rec. The first item is memo number 26, requesting the approval of Alex Lang as a recreation attendant to supervise vacation workshops and special events at a rate of $75 per session, which is effective as of April 3rd, 2018. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Saliano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The second item is a request to hire Rachel Faso as an unpaid intern for the Office of Elder Americans from April 16, 2018 to June 6, 2018. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is purchase order number 18069, and this is for Bell Aqua Pool Supply fiberglass decking for the guard chairs. The total amount is $2,087.10. As you know, the Parks and Rec Department staff has been very busy refurbishing the pool and the whole entire complex to get ready for the Memorial Day opening. This will assist and reconfigure the pool chairs for the lifeguards. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Saliano. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item is purchase order number 18517. This is for JTR Transportation. JTR Transportation provides bus service for many of our programs. This particular purchase order is for 15 senior recreation department trips dated March 18th through November 18th. For administrative and bookkeeping purposes, we find it easier to write one invoice, total it out, and then draw down as we take each trip. The total for these trips that would go from March of 18 to November of 18 is $18,860. There are 15 trips. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. DiPaolo. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is purchase order 2018-15, and this is called Spins Hudson. It's a teenscape trip for this coming summer. There are, it's a total of $3,300. A deposit will be made at $1,650, and the total cost again is $3,300. I also add the comment that in any day camp trip, the cost is covered by the parents or the guardians of the children attending camp. We make the payments and then are reimbursed when the parents pay the fees for the camp. So again, purchase order 2018-15, total is $3,300 for Spin Hudson. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Rubio. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And number 6 item, the last one this evening, is 2018-17. This is for Grand Prix, again, another camp trip, and the total amount is $2,300. It's for the Summer Fun Camp Program. Move for approval, please.
Motion by Ms. Smalley,
Second.
second by Mr. Saliano. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you. Councilman DiPaolo.
I don't believe I have anything on the agenda. Nice to see everyone tonight.
Thank you, Mr. DiPaolo. Next item is schedule of meetings. Tuesday, May 1st, 2018 will be our work session at 7 p.m. Tuesday, May 8th will be our business session at 8 p.m. And if there be no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'm going to abstain from that vote.
Motion by Mr. Rubio,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Saliano. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.